Seguimos en FutureCom haciendo la cobertura de FutureCom en Sao Paulo y vamos a tratar un panel sobre OSS y BSS y la necesidad de transformar estos sistemas para que los operadores puedan seguir siendo competitivos. Gentlemen, thank you for being here today, Alexander, Manuel and Klaus. So today we're going to be discussing OSS and BSS transformation. Why do operators need to transform their OSS and BSS systems? I'm going to allow you to start why that is needed. Why do operators need to transform what they already have?
Oh, thank you. So, in Ericsson, we believe that what we see a society which is connected. We call it a network society, where everything that benefits from a connection will be connected. And that means, from an operator perspective, how to become part of that society. I have a lot of unique assets as an operator in my network, in my information of my customers, of the users, and how do I make them available for this new ecosystem. And that is OSS, the role of OSS BSS, to manage the network, but then also bring the capabilities of the network to the new consumers, so to the digital natives, to the digital ecosystem. And that is why transformation is needed now, because now we have a new ecosystem in front of us.
Manuel?
Well, Rafael, first of all, thank you for having us here and this panel, interesting panel. Among my peers, my colleagues, with Ericsson, I think this is a great panel, also to be great here in Brazil. Transformation is a topic that always takes, usually from the technological perspective. Usually say, okay, because we have the OTTs, we have the Facebook, we have all this push. But it's something that is in common for every single service provider, which is the customer. Should be customer-centric, customer experience. That's pretty much one of the main things when we think about making a transformation. When we think of why we're having in Amdocs 7 transformation projects just in the region, it's really simple. It's because about the customer experience and to give value to the business. So if you keep that in mind, then we're going to start talking about either BSS, OSS, or start with a vertical perhaps. You start either with the only wireline, for instance. So depends on region and depends on each customer. That's what I can comment.
Excellent. Alexander, do you want to comment on?
Yeah, we worry about all this transformation, cloud computing, WhatsApp. We have to control these things, how to manage these things in terms of fraud and revenue assurance. And I think this is a big issue for everybody because everything is new. Everybody is trying on different kinds of controls, but I think that's the big challenge of this in terms of control and fraud.
Okay, now one of the things that usually happens with the operators, I don't know if you agree with this vision, is that when you talk to them about transforming OSS, BSS from the savings they might get on the OPEX side, usually they are not satisfied. Usually operators say, okay, I'll transform my network or my systems as long as I can save, but also I can generate. Has been the traditional role of OSS, more on the OSS side, but BSS also, more to try to save when we were talking about transformation, making them simpler so they could actually have less costs. And now we're seeing that, all right, we need to transform and not just to reduce costs, but also to bring some revenue to the table.
Right.
Is that?
Yeah. No,
I answered myself.
Yeah, you did, but I can maybe elaborate a little further. First, I agree very much, but I think also traditionally it's been very much about cost savings. I maybe have a new function. How can I work more efficiently? But there are different drivers for transformation. You were part of one major driver is customer experience.
Yeah, because you were mentioning IoT and you were mentioning customer experience.
But then there are other drivers, how to differentiate in the marketplace. So much more, how to reach time to market much more quicker. Okay. So much more marketing related drivers for transforming that are then in parallel with the total cost of ownership. And I see personally in the engagement I'm involved in across the globe that I see much more drivers that are related to we call them marketing drivers, how to address new services that could be cloud or NFV related service, or it could be going to industry and society capabilities or digital services ecosystem, or reach to market with new services much more quicker. So we have now capabilities in the network. We go into network function virtualization. We can change the characteristics in the network in a millisecond. Why does it still take months to reach the market with a new offering? And that is more time to market related drivers, as an example.
Okay, so the question again was, operators are transforming the OSS BSS systems, either doing it just to save costs or they need to also bring revenue to the table?
I think that should be a balance, and that again should be triggered by the business necessities. And I think one of the important things that we are bringing to FutureCom today is about the saving cost. And one of our OSS part of the portfolio what we have is our NFV solution orchestrator. So we run a survey in Europe and North America about how these operators are really willing to start adopting those new technologies, right? And one of the key things was exactly that, what you mentioned, is about saving money, cutting costs, right? It's because you have a virtualized network that helps you to pretty much deploy in less time. That pretty much is about saving costs and better customer experience. So I think this is one of the key things that we have seen, mainly is cutting costs.
Saving costs?
Costing costs.
Okay. What is your take on cost versus revenue generating?
Yeah, in fact, I think that it's a big challenge for everybody. It's okay. We have to improve the technology to keep in the how can I say that ahead of the competition. But the big deal, I think, that's the revenue of the operators are decreasing a lot with the time, and everybody's looking now for data and how to create the new plans, how to do that, how to change the whole thing. And this is the big challenge, because in fact I think nobody knows how to do that. If you use only data, what are you going to do? Are you going to charge a flat fee? This is enough? This is a big challenge for everybody, and I think that you want to identify and view that in the future.
Let me now that you brought this interesting topic about charging or about billing, I heard some executives in some industry events saying, we don't need operators at this point to just have a lot of services. Like they can charge different services and have a lot of services and be very agile in launching new services, but they need to be able to change their billing schemes very rapidly. So the same services to be built differently for different people, different situations, different scenarios, but don't necessarily have a huge portfolio of services. Have 4 or 5, but be able to build very quickly different things for different segments of the population or your users. I know what you think about that view on being very agile, which that reminds me a little bit on the MVNOs, which are changing their billing schemes constantly to attract new users. I don't know if that's something that you think it's part of the equation, being able to build very quickly existing services, not so much having an infinite portfolio of services.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. And I think, Mike, I heard 2 questions right now.
Okay.
One is, if it's relevant of billing quickly,
Yeah.
and the second is how to address the variety of different needs. How should my
Exactly.
service portfolio
Yeah.
look like?
Yeah.
And first of all, for Ericsson, we really believe in real-time charging and billing. Regardless if the customer is a prepaid user or a postpaid user, it has to be real-time. Because I want to have real-time information, account balance, if I'm a postpaid user, what kind of enterprise services do I have, a VIP services do I have access to, and what the status of those. If I'm a prepaid user, how much money do I still have left in my account? So it has to be real-time, regardless. Then I think the challenge is, we have in Ericsson something we call Consumer Lab, that does consumer behavior analytics and across the globe, representing about 1 billion of the world's population. And all those studies now for the last 15 years have told us that you need to be relevant for the individual. If I'm not relevant, they might turn somewhere else. And here's a challenge, because operators are going from a voice-driven business, an OSS BSS system, to data-driven business. And at the same time, it needs to be personalized. I'm going actually from having a much more variety of offerings I want to provide. At the same time, it has to be very simple for the consumers to understand. And that puts completely different demands on the OSS BSS stacks. For me, I don't see a response. I mean, if I should have many services to few users or few services to many users, it's very localized and up to the strategy of that specific operator. But the technology should not be a bottleneck. And that's why we invest a lot in pre-integrated solutions within our OSS BSS stack, support the life cycle of our customers, so the operator life cycle, how they handle their customers.
Okay.
I think from Amdocs' perspective, what it pretty much comes to the value is pretty much about delivering the services, because we have a portfolio and we have that pre-prepared solutions, but at the end of the day, what it means, what it matters is that we have to deliver and make that transformation happen. How we help these service operators? First of all, we have more than 30 years in the industry in telecommunications. Just focus on that. And that gives us that advantage to pretty much not only say one bullet, there's no one magic bullet, or there's no silver bullet to kill everything. This pretty much is depend region by region, and even operators as big as the white hairs we have in the region, like Telefonica, these Claros, all these guys, even in country by country, it's totally different. I can guarantee you that. So what that means is the value also comes where you come with that knowledge and put it into the best practices on the software and make it happen in the market.
Billing?
I think they said about to build the customer quickly. We can call hot billing, for example. This is very important for risk areas and credit and collection areas, because usually high usage customer, you sometimes you have to generate a bill very fast, what they call hot billing. And this is very good for credit risk and collection because it reduces risk and fraud in a big way.
Okay. Now, you also brought something up which is these days very tied up to OSS BSS, which is real time. And you know, if you think about emerging markets with a lot of prepay, you would assume that real time was something already, you know, within the DNA of the operator, because obviously for prepay you need real time, otherwise you're not going to be able to, you're going to probably suffer a lot of fraud. Why is suddenly real time so important? I mean, and those operators in emerging markets are more advanced because they have more real time on the voice services, or nothing to do?
Sorry,
are they more advanced, the operators in emerging markets, because they already had a real-time system for prepay?
Fantastic question. I love that question.
Okay.
Yes, I personally agree. I mean, we had this dialogues here, you know, around so-called mature countries and markets and immature countries, which we completely disagree with, and I personally a lot. Because I think that if I go to the markets which have a lot of prepaid users, it doesn't mean they're immature users. They're much more using mobile internet, much more than we do in my country where I live in Sweden, I think, using the mobile phone.
Because of prepaid?
Yes, and I believe they are then using the mobile phone or mobile devices as their premium access to internet. I'm a home, I have fiber, I have all of other channels I can leverage every day, right? So hence I believe those markets are much more advanced, and they have much more advanced demands. And that also requires real time getting information of my status that I have, but also real time to act when I subscribe to a new service.
But will operators be more ready for a real-time proposition when it comes to OSS BSS because they have already been working with real-time billing systems for the prepay?
I hope so. I think so. Because I mean, if I go, then at least they have the real-time mindset, but also hopefully the infrastructure, software infrastructure investments already done, or at least partly already done, and now we're moving into the next phase. They can leverage that. At least that's we envision from our perspective.
Yeah, I think, Rafa, it's important when we talk about real time that everything happens as the customers wants to be right now, right? I want these services. But also for the service operators, they need to think to be proactive, meaning that try to react before it happens, try to react before I have a billing shock, try before I have a network collapse, right? That also goes related to the real time, right? The real time is also for the customer experience. That, you know, they say, oh, so I know the network is down, or I have a lot of network right now, a lot of users right now in this network in future come. So, you know, let me give you the offer of Wi-Fi offload, for instance, right? So I think real time also is related not only to that, but also to be proactive in that matter.
Excellent. I agree. Alexander, you want to comment on real time?
Yeah,
because for fraud, that's very important.
Yeah, when you think about real time billing, everything when we are talking here, I'm talking about revenue assurance and control because I think there's a big opportunity on that. And if you analyze the whole operation, nowadays you have like 85% of the customer are prepaid. So it's a lot of revenue. Low margin, but a lot of revenue. And when you say about online billing, there is a lot of problems there. Usually, at least that we do, we have a tool that's a prepaid balance control. There is a lot of problems when you burn the credit on the platform. There is a lot of problems there. And you need a solution to control the whole thing. Otherwise, you're going to collect or not your customer.
Excellent. All right, well, gentlemen, time is up. Thank you so much for being here. I know that this is just an overview on the situation, but I'm really happy that you were here to comment on OSS BSS transformation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rafa. Thank you. Thank you.